today when I was scrolling through Twitter, I saw a video that I decided not to watch. Like my brain very quickly decided like, no, keep scrolling. And it was like a car accident on the freeway and the car was totally upside down and there were two like babies
in
like,
the middle.
like,
I seen it.
Like a 2 or a 3-year-old or some shit, and they're like wearing diapers and they're running around in the street. Now the kids were fine. And the clip that I saw, like as it autoplayed, I saw like an adult running over to them to like make sure they were okay. And I like, even seeing that, I chose not to watch that because it just felt like, okay, like I don't need this. Like everything is so fast moving when you're on social media that it's just like, and my brain just does like a quick calculation. Like, is this really worth like the next like minute of your time, or are you just gonna be like, nah, those kids they're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
Like if the kids were in a terrible situation, it would have said something in the caption on the video.
Yeah.
Also, like, why am I looking at this in the first place if I'm not going to take 45 seconds to make sure those kids are okay?
Yeah.
I don't know. Social media does some weird shit to your brain.
It's all over the place now.
Or like what it's,
right?
you grew up on BMX more than skating, but like, I don't know if BMX is in the same world as this, but like when I was a kid, a video part from like your favorite brand or whatever, like a new video drops, it like fully flared or something. Like you watch that on repeat, you had it on DVD. It was the only thing you watched to get hyped for skating. Like every song choice, every trick, you knew everything about it. But then like now it's just, I don't know, it's like a pro skater drops a part, it gets 40K views on Thrasher, and then like no one really cares. It doesn't, like, nothing feels like special like it used to feel. That's like my issue with it.
Yeah, it's tough. And I know people who spend years making a full length project and then they put it out and it's like just doesn't really. But also, like, if you were to chop those up and put them out as like 2 or 3 minute sections, those would do way better than the full thing.
Each trick being a clip once or twice a week.
Oh, if we were just counting impressions, for sure, uploading them one by one and like counting the reels views would be like the best.
Yeah,
way to do that.
It's kind of sad.
How often you skate nowadays?
I go back and forth. I'm like, my brain can only like be I have a very obsessive brain, so I like MMA. I started getting into MMA like 2 years ago. Yeah. And got obsessed with that. And I feel like I've just been bouncing between the two. For some reason, skating like a lot and doing MMA just don't mix. Like, it's one makes you sore, or you got a rolled ankle and then you can't like kickbox or whatever, or you're like, I don't know, you're doing MMA and then you're just like not interested in skating. So I'm like, right now I'm back at like jumping, like kind of taking a break from sparring and all that shit and just been skating the ramp.
I see that you just launched a new company that's at Zoomies. What is that? Some Kids?
Some Kids,
is that a clothing company?
Yeah, pretty much like skate focused. Like,
how many different brands do you have at this point?
We've got Sunday, Bloody Sunday, Some Kids,
Short and Simple, a show we just launched. We've got Vacation, it's a cannabis brand in the works, and I feel like we got other shit, Gunpowder thing we're working on.
But that's so interesting to, like, you know, the goal for many companies is like start one brand name and completely dedicate yourself to blowing that brand up and do a ton of different shit under that brand. I mean, to be fair, Nelk from pretty early on was like, oh, we're going to do Full Send or Happy Dad. Like, they've sort of realized that there was value in presenting shit under different brand names or whatever. But but then also, like, in this day and age, a lot of times it feels like brands aren't built to last like a long time. They're like intentionally sort of built to have like a hot couple of years and then either be sold off or just move on to the next thing. Like, when you left Nelk, what was your attitude on that, and how'd you end up deciding to do so many different projects?
It's probably because I came from such a massive thing. I mean, we had like 50 employees. We had tons of different projects. I've seen how the Disney effect can, if you're going to make this marketing engine, you can funnel it into every like avenue, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think it's just like, because even when I first started Sunday, I was even doing more projects than I'm doing right now. And then I learned to kind of like hone in on like the ones that are important. It feels kind of silly to not do multiple things. Because I built them all to like work and flow together very well. Like, Sunday is the studio, which is, if I'm going to build a design team, sourcing team, everything I'm doing on the creative side for my own companies, like, I can do that for other people too. And then I also am building a catalog, but the catalog is what creates the collections. And then
you know, the marketing engine can start to hit retail. So that's why we did Some Kids with Zoomies. And then we also have a whole studio, and I still have a, you know, a bit of a following. So starting like shows that I like the Short and Simple show.
Because that's a podcast. Is your third episode that you guys filmed, or?
Yeah, I think we just uploaded actually the seventh one.
Oh,
we did like this political one, and it's like, I feel like it's a very underrated show right now. Like, it's like, I haven't even promoted it too much. It's like not even getting a lot of views, but we're just kind of playing around with it. It's very Eric Andre style kind of comedy, which I think is missing on YouTube right now. I think there's so many podcast long form type shit where like just straight shows, like 5 to 10 minute, like whatever niche you're in is like kind of missing. It's the same way like skits came back. I feel like there was a decade there where skits did not work on YouTube at all, and then now there are a lot of people doing them, like the Trevor Wallaces and all that. But
I mean, one way to look at like a podcast is that this is the rawest form of communication, that this is just like the perfect form of media, like just raw, uncensored conversation. Another way to look at it is that this is like the laziest form of media, and that in a lot of ways, MTV News that would like pop up and it would be like a 20-minute, nice, tightly edited, you know, show. That was a pretty pleasurable way to take in information in the 90s. And maybe there is a lot of value in that. I think there for sure is a lot of value in that. Like, I see a lot of people, like almost everybody I know, they decide they want to become content creators, and they either like sit on live stream for hours and hours and hours, or they do interviews. And it's just like, you know, even I have more respect for like TikTokers. The TikToker is acting like they respect your viewing time. Like, you know, they want to make a nice 45 seconds that'll keep you engaged. And that I respect a lot in comparison to people who just sort of like if you just do a 2-hour podcast of you and your friends talking about nothing, there's kind of an inherent lack of respect for the viewer's time.
Yeah. And I consume a lot of pods. Like I use it for, I feel like it's like the new radio. Like, it's the same way you use it for, you know, a long drive, workout, whatever it is. You just want to hear people talk, and it's kind of how you get your news. It's kind of how you just like, but I agree. I think like there was just like a moment there where like every single person, like whether it was a new idea for a podcast or whatever, it was just like, it was almost like their manager was like, you got a podcast, you got a podcast. Right. And it was like, who's going to watch all these podcast? But like,
I almost feel like now things are kind of returning back to some sort of sense of normalcy, where like so many people have tried to do podcasts and failed that there's like some acceptance,
like weeded out the ones that didn't really want to do it. You have to want to do it. That's the thing.
You have to be and I respect people who are willing to podcast for years and years and years to build a fan base, because realistically you can make TikToks and go viral like very, very, very quickly. You could make YouTube essays about other people who have fallen off and blow up very quickly. Like, if you want to make a podcast about you and your friends sitting around talking about some shit, it's probably going to be a multi-year grind to get any kind of fan base, unless somebody's really famous. And honestly, in this environment, it's like, even if you're pretty famous, doesn't guarantee you any kind of like consistent 6-figure view counts on your podcast.
I agree. I think it's like everything with the short form is, if it's your only thing you do, I feel like it's super hard to build a core audience. It's like they just don't get enough of your personality. They don't get to know you enough. And then a pod on the other side is like the complete opposite. If you do blow up doing it, I feel like you become like, you're like a best friend or a family member to those people. Like I religiously watch Joe Rogan, and like I was just joking with my friend about this, where I was like, I listened to like probably 100 times more hours of Joe Rogan than my own dad. Like, how much do my like, you know, like learning and getting my like beliefs or my like the way I think of like different events from Joe Rogan more than I am like my family or my own shit. But and nothing wrong with that.
And this morning when I saw that Joe Rogan just did a 2-hour episode with Adam Sandler, my brain went to like, oh hell, like my brain was like stoked. As if two good friends of mine just linked up. Even though these are people I've never met, but like I want to hear them talk, just because I have so much built-in care about both of them, even if I might not engage with their shit like anywhere near as much as a lot of other people that I watch shit from. But like, just the idea of these two, especially just like two East Coast dudes who've gone on to become outrageously successful, and I just want to see what them having a chat is like. You know, like that's a weird feeling as a podcast fan.
Like I saw that, I listened to it on the way up, and I was just like, Yeah, I thought of that too. I was like, it's funny how I'm like, it's almost like a gift or a treat. I'm like, I was excited that one went up. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be sick.
And knowing like they're not going to talk about anything sensational.
No,
They're probably just going to be shooting the shit on some regular shit.
and you don't want them to.
The title does not need to like lure me in with any like.
Yeah, like who did Sandler vote for? Like, I don't, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.